Well, hello, my Mercurial mercenaries. I suppose it is Saturday, so I can go the Saturday show. It was axed. I wasn't asked to axe it, and I wasn't axed to ask it. I think this is episode 7, isn't it? Episode 7? So I was looking through Facebook like that, like you do, and I saw an interesting little article. I think it was on Classic Rock or Total Guitar or some shit like that. I'll put it on the screen now. And it mentions a band called the Claypool Lennon Delirium. And I read it and I thought, how cool is that? Les Claypool out of Primus. And if you don't know Primus, you really should give them a little listen. Very strange band. I'll tell you what, recently I'm really getting into what the hell was that? That was me trying to say eclectic. I'm getting into eclectic, let's just say crazy, but not in a mental health way. Crazy music again. And I've got a few albums I want to talk about another day. But anyway, for the moment, Primus. My name is Mud. Les Claypool, phenomenal bass player. When people talk about the greatest bass players of all time, you're always talking about your McCartneys and whatever, and then if you throw Flea into the ring, you'll also end up throwing Les Claypool. And I saw it's called the Claypool Lennon Delirium, and this band, and it says that it's Les Claypool and Julian Lennon, and I thought, how cool is that? And they got an album, which I'd seem to have missed, released this time last year. An album called The Monolith of Phobos. How cool is that? Real Star Trek-y. I'm getting so back into just crazy, I've just said this, I'm repeating myself now, but just crazy music. Crazy music. And I haven't listened to this album yet, but I expect it to be crazy because it's called The Monolith of Phobos. The band is called the Claypool Lennon Delirium. I've got the previous experience of Primus, and the album cover itself just looks a little bit crazy. So, and I'm a fan of Julian Lennon. You've got to remember, this guy, his life, it's so tricky. I'm a huge Beatles fan. And you've got to remember, when you go back in time with the Beatles, late 50s, Lennon was rocking it with Cynthia. I think around 62, something like that. Cynthia and John have Julian, baby. And at that point, John says to Cynthia, we better get married then. And this is as the Beatles are breaking. This is at the start of Beatlemania, and Epstein, maybe the rest of the band, I'm not sure, but Epstein especially doesn't want anyone to know that John Lennon's married. So they kind of keep it secret-ish. I don't think Lennon treats Cynthia particularly nicely. He shags around the world, behind her back, basically. Hits her, beats her up, meets Yoko, lies about his relationship with Yoko, eventually leaves Cynthia for Yoko in about 68, gets divorced from her, starts a new life with Yoko. Bear in mind, all this time, Julian's there. I mean, his dad's touring the world, in the studio, whatever. Julian doesn't see a lot of his dad. There's a few Beatles songs that are allegedly about Julian. You got the whole Lucy in the Sky with Diamond's shit. I think the main song that everyone thinks about is Hey Jude, which was originally Hey Jules, and it was Paul McCartney singing to Julian. Paul says he changed the title to Hey Jude because it was easier to sing, but Paul's a bit like that, from what I gather. he makes an emotional song directly related to somebody and then changes the name. I don't know. John meets Yoko, goes off into another life, has a son with Yoko, and pretty much, on and off, but pretty much eliminates Julian from his life. Leaves him out of his will. So Julian, I think, for most of his life was, this is putting words in his mouth a little bit, but he was probably a bit bitter. Probably a bit of a bitter bastard. Especially towards Yoko, I would have thought. So I think he's an interesting character. So then I'm reading this classic rock thing and I'm thinking, cool. The Claypool-Lennon delirium. The monolith of Phobos. So I Google it, I Wikipedia it, and bring it up so I can stream it around the house, which I haven't done yet. And it's not Julian Lennon, it's Sean Lennon. What the fuck? What the fuck? Who's writing your articles? Who's writing your articles? Anyway, I know less about Sean Lennon than I do about Julian Lennon. But I'm going to give this album a go. The Claypool-Lennon Delirium. The Monolith of Phobos. And like I say, this is just a little talk about nothing really. Something and nothing, something and nothing. But what I am doing is I'm just getting back into listening to music again. And new music. Listening to new music. Why not? Have any of you listened to the Monolith of Phobos already? You already aware of it? If so, tell me what it's like. If you haven't listened to it, how about you go and listen to it as well? Tell me what you think of it below. An album by the main guy out of Primus and John Lennon and Yoko Ono's son. Let me know, my mercenaries. Do you think I look a little bit like Sinatra? Strangers in the night, exchanging glances. Don't know any more of the words. What were the chances? Over.